Ric Grenell is a longtime diplomat, State Department official, U.S. ambassador to Germany, most recently served as acting director of national intelligence under the Trump administration. Now, as this situation in Afghanistan continues to unfold, a lot of Americans still can't seem to get out of that hideous country. And the U.S. State Department might be to blame. For some insights on all of this, please welcome to the show a good friend and a great guy, Ric Grenell. Thank you, Ric.
Thank you so much. Amazing.
This week, Jen Psaki made a comment, and it was just stunning. She was talking about how the Taliban was professional and businesslike. I'm thinking Tony Soprano is professional and businesslike. I'm not sure the Taliban is. When you heard that, how'd you react?
As we come up to 9/11, to hear comments like that, it's so discouraging for those who fought to keep us safe. And I know you know this, but the reality is every single man and woman who fought in Afghanistan, who went there to make sure that we were protected, that terrorism didn't come here, they did their job.
Yeah.
They won this for us. It's the politicians in Washington that have messed it up at the very end. And I think
you're absolutely right. 100%.
And President Trump handed President Biden a stable Afghanistan, a functioning U.S. embassy. And I know that when you talk to the Taliban, it can seem a little bit controversial. Both presidents spoke to the Taliban. For me, it's not so much talking to the Taliban, it's what does the Taliban hear when they're talking to each individual one. And when President Trump spoke to the Taliban, he was very clear. He said, if you reconstitute, if you take over a city, I will wipe you off the face of the earth. They believed that. When the Taliban talked to Joe Biden, they actually didn't hear that same thing. They started to take over city by city. Pretty soon they took over the whole country, and there was no pushback. And I'll tell you, for me, it's the difference between a threat of military action and a credible threat of military action.
That's a good distinction. You were in the State Department a long time. These are a lot of people that you know. As an institution, it seems like the place has become shredded. And we've heard so many reports, Ric, that the hindrance of getting Americans out of Afghanistan was the State Department would tell some of these volunteers who were going over there at their own expense to get them, the State Department prohibited them from getting the planes in and the people out. Can you even come up with a reason as to why that would have ever happened?
It's totally unacceptable. And I can tell you that most of the State Department, if not all, were coordinating this from Washington, D.C. Because don't forget, on July 1st, they closed Bagram Air Base. They left the diplomats there. They took away the U.S. soldiers, 2,500, 5,000 NATO soldiers. They took them away, but they left our diplomats. I have to say, and I say this very cautiously, that our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, should resign in disgrace for sitting in a cabinet meeting. For sitting in a cabinet meeting and allowing a decision to be made to remove troops without his people, State Department employees, being evacuated first. When that decision was talked about in that cabinet meeting, he should have leapt over the table and said, you can't leave State Department officials there.
You know, you were the director of national intelligence. A lot of our audience may not realize the significance of that position, but that meant you directed all of the various intelligence organizations, CIA, NSA, FBI, everything that had to do with intelligence. From the time you spent in that position, tell me, are you concerned about America's vulnerability? Are we getting back to the place where we're more like a September 10th America than a September 11th America?
Such a great question. I think it's a very thoughtful answer that I would have to give. What I would say is you can be very proud of many of the career intelligence officials who are doing great work and watching 24 hours a day so that we never have another 9/11. I am concerned about the way the politicians and many in Congress, what they're doing to our intelligence system. They're scaring our officers into not speaking up because they want to trap them. I say this whole Russian collusion issue. Now, look, Russia is a problem.
Yeah.
China is a crisis. And every time we hear people saying, Russia, 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 look over there at Russia, they are giving you the Beijing line. China loves that because they're over here not being watched. And that's what keeps me up at night.
Rick, you got to come back. Thank you so much for your service to this country, for your friendship, and also for the steadfast way in which you have been a great American. It is an honor to have you here.
Oh, thank
Promise
you.
You'll come back and be with us.
I definitely will. This is such an amazing set and experience. So,
well,
congratulations.
we want you back. Now, if you want to keep up with Ric Grenell, and I know that you want to, you can do it on social media at Richard Grenell. It's right there on your screen. We're so grateful that he's been with us.